So we are good to go. We're back in the room, and I've got Nuha Ruby Ra live in studio. Hey girl, how's it going?
Hi Georgie.
How are you doing? That is Self-Portraiture. That is your brand new single from an EP, Machine Like Me, which we're getting early next year.
Yes.
Are you excited to finally put that out? And the reaction seems to be amazing.
I'm so excited. I've had a lot of fun with touring How to Move, because I released it during lockdown and then I've just been like playing it ever since. And then I wrote the new EP like in between like touring about a year ago, so I've been really excited for it to come.
Yes.
So yeah, it's coming.
Like the momentum's been building this year, hasn't it? Like you've kind of joined Warmduscher on stage a few times, but then also you've done a whole bunch of shows on your own and support shows, haven't you? Like tell me a little bit about how 2022 has been following that weird time and the lockdown and pandemic and stuff, and then actually being out there so much in the world playing live this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've toured more than I've ever have in my life, and I think more than I could ever have imagined to have toured in 1 year, like especially just following like first EP. So I'm really grateful for it. But yeah, it's been non-stop since we could play again, since the pandemic kind of like lifted. I've just been touring, so I've done a ton of support tours. It's been like the year of support tours for me. I've been with Warmduscher, Viagra Boys, Yard Act, Bambara, King Gizzard. Played a ton of festivals. Feel a bit like I completed festivals last year.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was like mind-blowing and incredible and really and also like really tiresome and like kind of head spinny. Yeah. But great. Yeah, I've only just done my last shows of the year last week, so I'm just kind of starting to reflect back on it now.
Finally like winding down for Christmas and just able to sleep a bit more and chill, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you feeling festive? How's our Christmas?
Yeah,
Christmas vibes. Yeah,
I think I've felt the most festive I ever have. Like I started January. I did my like sort of like homecoming show on the 1st of December, which was great, and then on the 2nd I was DJing at my friend's Christmas party, and they like hired out this incredible place. It's like Bethnal Green Town Hall, and a good friend of mine just did like this big like carols party.
Amazing.
When I was DJing, and it was just like, yeah, it's just like started December off with like the most festive it could possibly be.
Yeah.
And then ever since then it's just been everyone has just gone like full on with Christmas parties.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I haven't stopped drinking and going to parties since December started. Yeah, definitely festive and hungover.
Yeah, looking forward to just like tapping out for well, I am looking forward to that as well. I feel you, like it's been a busy month of Christmas shenanigans. I think because last year was a bit lame and we couldn't redo it.
Exactly.
So everyone's like, I'm going to make this one a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Last year I was like going to actually have Christmas, because everyone got cancelled for Christmas, didn't they, the year before? And then 2 days before Christmas I got COVID last year.
Did you?
Which sucks.
My brother did the same thing. He was just on his own for Christmas.
Really?
So depressing.
Yeah, it's just like not so good. So yeah, this year there's making up. There's lots of making up to do. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. And so talk to me a little bit about the making of Self-Portraiture, and we'll like afterwards we'll kind of go back a bit more to sort of you starting out in music. But Self-Portraiture obviously is the new single, new taste of the new EP. How was it writing this, and what was it that was sort of like inspiring that track? 'Cause it's very cool, like it's very like instant, and like as soon as I listened to it I was like, I love this. This
nice.
Feels really you. This feels really like a statement sort of thing of like where you are at and where you're going kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like I wrote a bunch of songs at the end of last year, and the end of last year, my time period is like really confused, but I think it's end of last year, and Self-Portraiture was I'd had like a whole bunch of songs before I decided what I was gonna sort of put into an EP, and Self-Portraiture initially didn't make the cut for me because I was like, this song is like, I really like it and there is something to it, but it's really not there yet. And then ended up being convinced by like just people like hearing it just been like, there's basically something to it to work on. So I ended up, it was kind of like my Everest for a bit, because I was just like, it's good, but it's just not there yet. And it was going to go into a bit of a different direction. And then I decided to kind of take it into a place which was, and I know it sounds like this is so not a traditional pop song. I don't know if anyone would even call it a pop song. But to me, it was just like, if I'm going to make something, so like something that's going to kind of like pop in the sense of it has a sort of accessibility to it that is immediate, but is me. What would it be? And it was like, it would be this song. So I kind of worked on it from that. I finished it. I didn't start it that way, but I kind of like finished it that way. And it was a lot of fun. I recorded, as goes for the EP. The last EP, I invited a whole bunch of incredible musicians to come and perform on the record. And this time round, I decided that I was going to play all the instruments, all the instrumentation on the record. Yeah. So apart from a couple of guesting, so James Howard plays one of the guitar lines on this track, and I can't remember if there's any sax on this track.
There's a little bit of sax. Course, there is.
So Terry Edwards does the sax, but yeah, so I play everything else, which was, so I kind of like, sort of my setup, just go in, set all my stations up, and then just kind of like go around and just I write as I'm recording. So yeah, that's cool. I was reading kind of about that and like your style, I guess, and how you like that experimentation element of things. So do you just kind of, how do you get in that zone of just like freestyling it basically, and then you'll piece it together, or is it really as raw as that was just the first take of the? It's so I trying to remember back. So there is actually, most things that are on that track, or on most of the tracks, are kind of first or maximum third takes, but a lot of it is first takes. So a lot of the time I kind of like, as everything I write is really, I'm quite instinctive in how I write, just because it's just how I work. And I record while I'm writing, but my recording is a real mess at the beginning. So everything is kind of like, I think of just kind of making sketches. So everything is essentially a sketch, and then sometimes I'll build on the sketch, and then it will kind of fill out and then become the song, and then get sort of restructured and moved around. So a lot of the actual recordings will be often just first takes, but then I'll work on the arrangements afterwards. So that might be like the next phase of things. It's quite a different, especially recording thing, like playing all the instrumentation, because there isn't the element of like, oh, everyone's in the room and you're kind of like jamming with everyone. I'm essentially like jamming with myself continuously. Just like over and over again. I might leave something for like 2 or 3 months, or like even longer, and then go back to it and kind of sort of transport myself back in the place that I was in, and sort of pick up where my sort of train of thought was. But everything is very kind of like off the moment, and very reactionary to the other thing that I just put down before. But then later on, I would play with the arrangement, so it might not follow the exact first arrangement that I kind of like write sort of the song in.
And do you think that sort of that way of working was informed by the fact that you went to, did you study sound design at Cass Art School?
It wasn't sound design, it was fine arts.
Fine arts, you studied art, actually.
So I studied art, my background is art. It has nothing to do with music at all. But I became interested in sound art while I was studying fine art, and then started to kind of use that as a medium, as well as video and installation and sculpture and like different things. So it was something that I became interested in during like sort of like in art school. And it wasn't for quite a long time that I even entertained it becoming something that would fall into a music category. It was always art. And then music came quite a bit later.
And was that from just dabbling and doing out because you were in Arrows of Love?
Yeah.
It was like a first band. And you guys had, you know...
It wasn't actually my first band.
Oh, was that not?
No, I had a band before that called Dead Pixels.
Did you?
Well, I had a band. I was in a band called Dead Pixels, and it was, you know, I had no part in the writing of it at all. It was like a bunch of my friends.
Yeah.
And I essentially just kind of like made noise, which is what I did. That's my background, is just making noise.
Whatever happened to Dead Pixels?
Yeah.
They still going, or did that, was that like, what, you know?
That stopped a long time ago, but it was like, it was, I'd say it was quite like heavily influenced by ESG.
Okay, right,
It was a lot of fun. It was really, really fun. So yeah, I got to travel around with them quite a lot, but it was just a bunch of my friends, and I had a really good time with them. But it wasn't for me like, this is my first step in my musical career. It was just, I'm having a fun time with my friends.
Yeah.
I'm a fine artist. I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until some way into Arrows of Love even that I started to kind of consider that music was a path that I wanted to concentrate on.
Yeah, because you guys had some good success. Like, you did some touring in Europe, didn't you? And South by Southwest.
Yeah, there was
toured
a lot
with
of
The
touring.
Fall.
Yeah. No, we did a lot of really great stuff. I mean, Arrows, I'll always have a really special place for Arrows in my heart. We did a lot of great stuff, and I'm super proud of the last record of Arrows is the only one that I co-wrote with Nima.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. It was a great band, especially live. There is like the live energy of Arrows was like really like next to none. It was incredible.
Yeah. That must have taught you a lot then. Just, you know.
Yeah. No, it was really, really amazing. But there came a time, I mean, there was a lot of turbulence in the band in general that, you know, didn't kind of like sit always very well with me, and I found it quite sort of like confusing and distracting a lot of the time. But then things just came to a place where I just really felt like I kind of wanted to do things totally of my own accord and totally with my own vision, just to see what it would be like, because I just needed to explore that. And I'm really glad. I'm glad that I did, because I've been having fun with that. So
yeah, it's been a good time.
Yeah.
Let's play another track. Let's play My Voice. So this came out a few months ago. How many months ago? Like, I don't know.
I am so bad at remembering when anything ever happened.
I remember playing it on the show. I played it on the show this year.
Yeah. Like, what month are we in? We're in December.
Yeah.
So My Voice came out.
Let's just say a while ago.
It was like a few months ago. Not that long ago.
No.
Not a few months ago.
No. And what can you tell me about My Voice and the making of it, or the story behind it?
My Voice to me is purgatory. It was kind of like the first track that I started writing the new sort of collection of songs, and I was in a sort of place of figuring out what my kind of like new entity or like next chapter of my kind of presentation of what I'm doing, what that was going to be. So it was like in a sort of pure exploration time. I feel like, I don't know why, but that song to me just feels like purgatory. It's actually, that song was also really, I don't know, I feel it's kind of heavily inspired at the beginning by suicide. So there was like, for the band.
The band, yeah. Not the heavy subject matter.
Not the heavy subject
no,
matter.
the band who, Dream Baby Dream. Love them.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if it wasn't that I wanted to make a song that sounded like suicide, but it was, I don't know what it was. There was something that when I started writing a song that I was just like, I felt like I was in the world of suicide. And then it just kind of like went into different places after that. But I think, My Voice to me is just purgatory.
Yeah. Well, let's hear it. And we'll be chatting more with Nuha after this.
My Voice, My Voice.
So that is My Voice. That's by Nuha Ruby Ra, and she is live with me in the studio, my final show of the year. I love that, and I love what you were saying, about just like the kind of world of Suicide, the band, and that inspiring it. Is that a big thing for you when you're writing? Is kind of creating a sound sort of world for the tracks?
Yeah, I mean, like literally never to do with any other band or artist. This was quite a rarity, which I don't even know whether it continued being that way. I just happened to be kind of like at the beginning of it in that world. But normally creating a world that's just to do with a feeling, generally speaking, is how I kind of make music. And I don't know what, it's not that I decide at the beginning that this is going to be this particular kind of world. It will be that whatever I start, whatever instrument I pick up first and make something with it that I want to work on, wherever the feelings that are coming from that first piece of music that it gives me, then the world starts to build from that. Yeah. And then everything from that then does become about building that world, and all the instrumentation has a relationship to each other in a way where there is like, they have certain voices and certain roles within that world. It's more cinematic for me. I'm a lot more inspired by cinema in general than I am in regards to like actively making music. I would say I'm more inspired.
More visual kind of thing.
Yeah. More visual, more feeling. Yeah, it's kind of the thing I care about, I think, the most is conveying a feeling in making music or any kind of art, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And tell me about growing up and getting into music. 'Cause you were born in Bedford.
I know. You know what?
True. Is this all? Is the research wrong?
It's true, but it's the kind of thing that is just like, it's so. It means literally nothing. I lived there for like 2 weeks.
2 seconds. and then Cairo?
And then Wales,
actually.
And then Wales,
yeah. Okay.
And then Cairo after that.
And then
I have no relationship with, but it's quite funny because I think there was one interview where someone really dug deep into my past, and I was like, they wanted to know like my whole life story. So I said that I happened to be born in Bedford, and Sid said it gets mentioned like, nothing against Bedford at all, but I have
everyone's like, so how's Bedford?
No reception. No relationship with the place whatsoever. But,
that's funny.
But yeah, Cairo is like, so yeah, I was born in Bedford.
Yes.
Briefly was there. Went to Wales for a bit longer, and then Cairo. I had my childhood in Cairo before moving back to the UK.
Yeah, and then as a teenager, you were kind of more UK, right?
And as a teenager, I was fully UK. Yeah. Before I was a teenager, even. Yeah.
So how did all of that affect your music taste and the music that you were discovering as a teenager, and before that, I suppose, when you start listening to music, was it like parents that were playing stuff to you, and what kind of thing?
Actually, going back to cinema again, like when I was really small, I really loved black and white films. Like they were Egyptian black and white films, and my favorite sort of like person, musician and actor is a musician called Abdul Halim Hafiz. He's amazing. He's really incredible, and he inspired me a lot. He was kind of would be a Frank Sinatra type character, even though also nothing like that, but silver screen leading handsome man that also has a musical career and that kind of character. Incredible musician and worked with brilliant orchestras. I didn't really understand what any of that world entailed. I was just mesmerized by him, and then I think my mum realized I really liked him, so then she'd play me his concerts just like on sort of TV, like she'd like just find stuff to show me, and I was really in awe by it. So I think he definitely had a part in sort of some kind of subconscious interest in music crossing over with cinema, and his music and everything was very much about conveying a feeling as well. But I think growing up in Cairo, having my childhood in Cairo, and then moving back here still at a very young age, it gave me a bit of a wider breadth of understanding of music and what makes it up, because even things like, sort of having different rhythms being so natural to me, because different melodies, different constructs of music sort of meant that there isn't just this one way of making music. And it's not anything I really ever thought about. It's when I started to play around with sound a lot more, I realised that I was playing around with, there was kind of less rules about music, because I'd already had around me some very different ways of music making from a young age to what I'd known. Yeah.
And then when you came to the UK as a teenager, obviously at that point it's really formative, the bands that you're getting into, or bands or DJs or producers. What kind of stuff was that? Was you like a new metaler, or like a grebo, or like ravehead, drum and bass? What was it?
I was a very angsty teenager, like super angsty. Like I hated new metal because everyone was kind of secretly too happy. Yeah. It was like fake anger. I don't actually think that, but at the time I was just like, everyone was just actually, they're all just like really cheerful, but like apparently it's angst. I was just like, I want like pure angst. Yeah. But I probably discovered, I got into grunge as the first sort of gate into sort of bands and alternative music. So at the beginning it would have been the Pixies and Nirvana, and then at some point someone like played Garbage, you know, the Pink Feather album. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, that was like sort of pure me, as I don't know how old I was at the time, like 12 or 13 or something. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like angry, shouty woman, brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Shirley Manson. Still an absolute queen of life, isn't she?
Still an absolute queen of life, definitely. But yeah, it sort of started off from those guys, and then things got more and more obscure. It was kind of the more outsider sort of artist, and outside of the further outside of the mainstream that things got, that I was interested in, the more I was just like, okay, that's now what's interesting to me the most. Yeah. So I went to, discovering Neubauten and Birthday Party. That for me was just like, whoa, yes, this is it. Like ugly music that has really raw feeling, and that's what I want. That's kind of what's, I found a bit of kindred spirits in that. And then like on the side as well, there'd be people like Radiohead that I found really, really amazing, super interesting. Bjork, Aphex Twin. Yeah. So it's I think my kind of the core of what really struck with me would have been Birthday Party and Neubauten. Yeah. That scene of that time, I was just really interested by that music. That really did something to me when I discovered them. But then all the other people I've mentioned, it's just people doing things differently. Basically, the more I was discovering that, the more I was like, this is the kind of thing that I wanna have more of in my life. Yeah, and I think like as an artist, you sort of set out your stall a little bit, don't you? In terms of where you're comfy, where you want to sit. And I feel like for you, that is, on the kind of the left side of things, like the more like alternative, but it still is resonating. I like, you're never going to be like a mainstream pop artist. Really, like, are you? Like, I don't know. Unless there's a pop album in you, maybe there is. To be honest, there is. I mean, I don't have plans for one right now. Can't say that I do, but at the same time, I'm not. I've never ever been interested in being like I'm painting myself or presenting myself as I'm that kind of artist, or being a part of any particular scene or anything like that, because I find that really limiting. And also, I just always want to have fun and do what I feel like doing there and then. So there is nothing off the table for me ever. There is nothing that exists where I'd be like, I would never do that, because if I wanted to do it, then I'll just do it. Then you do it. And then so I don't think it's good to be like, I'll never do something. No, I think you're right in that. I think and I hate that when just artists in any endeavour, like in creativity, you kind of just get boxed in, and actually someone can be so many things or into so many things. I mean, look at Wooloo, who we played, who are friends of yours. Like that album is just like a genre bending kind of crazy roller coaster of sound and worlds and all of that. They're such a phenomenal band. They're one to watch live as well, for sure. They're incredible. Their shows as well, like I've experienced so many shows of theirs that I've really felt like different worlds. So they're also, they're a band to go and see as much as you can. They're brilliant.
So, Nuha, what is next? What's next for 2023? I know you're going to just like chill out a little bit over Christmas.
A tiny bit of chill out.
Just a tiny bit.
I told myself no work until the end of the year.
Yeah.
Nothing, because I think it's needed.
Yeah.
But as soon as 2023 comes in, I'm going to be going into a studio and making some new music. And I have a show on the 26th of January at the Shackwell Arms.
Awesome.
It's like a wide awake, sort of highlighty kind of night. So that should be fun. And then I'm doing an independent venue week tour that starts on the 31st of January for the whole of Independent Venue Week around the UK.
Amazing.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're great bunch actually. The Independent Venue Week.
Oh,
people.
they're brilliant. So yeah, I'm really excited to be doing like a sort of a tour with them for that. And then Machine Like Me, the new EP, comes out on the 3rd of March.
Yay!
Which is super exciting.
Yeah.
And then I have a very exciting support tour that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but
It's big.
in March. Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a good one. So I'm really excited about it. It's in March, but yeah, at some point soon.
Okay, we'll look out for that.
Share. Yeah.
And then some more studio time, I guess. More
Music.
music.
And
more
then
writing.
more music, more writing, loads more shows that are kind of just getting put together at the minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really exciting actually to kind of look at a new year and not know everything that's like coming yet. It's quite an exciting thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for you going into next year. I think it's going to be even better than this year. And this year's kind of been the perfect year, really, in terms of, you know, growing as an artist and getting out there and getting kind of more exposure and stuff. So good luck with it. Not that you need it.
Thank you.
Not that you
Always need it. Always.
We'll play out with Sparky. This is one from the first EP.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Sparky was the cheeky one of the first EP that was generally full of sorrow and misery and pain.
Yeah, I think I read that you just were like, this was a really hard EP. I was in a bad place kind of thing.
I was in a bad place when I was writing that record. But I will always have the most special place in my heart for How to Move. That EP means the world to me. But yeah, Sparky was the fun one. That was, you know, in the midst of being a really heartbroken and very sad and confused and lost person. That was like the sassy bit. That was the kind of, you know, sort of going out and having a bit more, just being a bit, I don't know what the word is really, just trying to have some non-emotionally attached sex and seeing if that will kind of like, you know, cheer me up. And that was complicated as well, but yeah.
Well,
as it always is.
As it always
is. But yeah, but it was still fun. But yeah, Sparky was Sparky was like the fun, sort of silly, light-hearted song of the record. But yeah, I love Sparky. It's the cheeky number.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's been so good to chat. And yeah, keep in touch. And we'll look forward to seeing everything that you're up to next year. Nuha Ruby Ra, everybody.
Thanks for having me, Georgie.